الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. قال الله تعالى محمد رسول الله والذين محمد رسول الله والذين آمنوا أشداء. وقال أيضا وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام بعثت لأتم مكارم الأخلاق وفي رواية لأتم مصالح الأخلاق أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to another topic. I think now you're able to view me nicely. Inshallah, in the future I shall have better recording equipments. Just pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make me get a better place for equipment and a better place for recording. Amma ba'd, as I had said when I was talking about the topic of mut'ah in response to Sam Sham'un in particularly, and also to Zakaria Butros on other aspects, well, I just forgot to let you know that also the Shia Muslims have it in their books, although they are on that narration that it was prohibited on the day of Khaybar, but we proved to show that as-sawab, the preferred opinion, is on Fath Makkah. Refer to my video for more details. So even in the Shia books, Furu' al-Kafi, volume 5, page 463, Tahdhib al-Ahkami, volume 7, page 554, Al-Istibsar, volume 3, page 145. It shows also in their books that mut'ah is not preferred. I will encourage everyone to buy this book. It is translated into Kiswahili, which is called Kwa ajili ya Allah, kisha kwa ajili ya historia, kufichua siri na kuwasafisha maimamu walio safi. I would like everyone to get this copy. It's sold in every bookshop. We also have the Arabic text, of which inshallah I shall buy in future. Yeah, the Arabic text has more information. The Arabic text is called Lillahi Thumma Tarikh. And if you Google, because of Allah and because of history, you'll find this book online, written by the late As-Sayyid Hussein al-Musawi. He was one of the scholars of Najaf, leading Shia school. But alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, he left them and joined us. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He exposed every Shia move here. But I'm not the one to express every Shia thing here. Inshallah, I shall try to talk about Abdullah ibn Saba in the coming topics. But according to my level, I will not go deep, but just get the book and read for yourselves. Inshallah, I shall try to talk about Abdullah ibn Saba and use this book for references. And try to get the Arabic one, which has more information about Abdullah ibn Saba. So alhamdulillah, today's topic, I will try to revise more on the slavery in Islam. Because I talked about it, but I feel I made some 2 or 3 mistakes. And it is upon me to try and rectify those mistakes. Because not everyone who will listen to my video will do his research. I know there's somewhere I didn't go on well with it. But just briefly, Islam only accepted the slavery. Islam as a whole didn't encourage slavery as it has come down to us. In fact, Islam came to abolish it completely. But it allowed only one form, taking the captives only. But I don't know, buying, selling of slaves, the transatlantic trade was doing. No. That is what Islam didn't do. It was only during war they could also be released free. Like in the story when the Prophet married Juwayriya, if I'm not wrong. And that marriage made all the slaves to be let free. Okay? There's also the part of which Mr. Sam Shamoun loves, or of having sexual intercourse with the slave. Yeah, the husbands were killed, so yeah. Okay, they were not forced to do it. Nor was it a form of adultery, since Allah has permitted us in the Holy Quran. يحافظون فروجهم إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم. I hope I have read it well. I am not a hafiz. In that hadith, there's no way that they did adultery. There's no the word zina in Arabic in that hadith. No, were they forced to? No, did they force those women to have sexual intercourse with them? You see, in olden days. Also, we have in the Old Testament. Concubines. Solomon had many concubines, more than 100. So concubinage, which could be sought through these war captives, was like a form of marriage. Serariya. It was a form of marriage. And it was not to force the maid servant. In fact, in a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ has narrated, you should treat your maid servant well. You will also find it in Ibn Kathir's stories of the prophets. Whoever makes his maid servant learn properly, he treats her well, man who meets her and marries her will get double rewards. It is found in many hadith. Clearly shows that Islam didn't encourage keeping of slaves. Islam encouraged manumitting of slaves. Some sins like Islam during the holy month of Ramadan, intentional sexual intercourse. One of the ways to expiate for that sin was letting a slave free. Yeah, as a whole, Islam didn't encourage slavery. Yeah, they could be gotten through war, but okay, they could be left free, but if it was to serve the purpose of the Muslims, if it were to sin, these ones will not bring any problem. Be let free, ransom, yeah. That's all. Islam encouraged proper treating of the slave. Imagine Bilal radiallahu anhu, made by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first muadhin of Islam, that some Sahabas with specks of jahiliyyah in their heart, ignorance, that is, said he was a Qurabun Aswad, yani meaning Qurab is a type of bird, yani that black bird. The Prophet used to tell people, whoever angers Bilal has angered me. See, Bilal was manumitted by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. There are many stories of which slaves were manumitted in Islam. Refer to my previous video. Yeah. Bukhari himself, Al-Imam al-Bukhari, Muhammad bin Ismail al-Bukhari, has a whole volume of manumitting slaves. Although they could be taken during war, but Islam still didn't encourage. Instead, Islam encouraged setting the slave free. It from what you eat, clothe them from what you clothe them. It made the level of the slave and their masters the same. Yeah. As opposed to the book of Exodus chapter 21. Joseph Maina, Baraka Bernard, refer to your book in any version, English Standard Version, the ESV, the Revised Standard Version, of which the master could also take the slave's wife and children, even if him, after manumitting the slave who is a man, but his family and children would be the masters. Islam didn't encourage that. Islam made both of them to be on equal standards. Read the Islamic books in order to understand. Islam never encouraged slavery. Look at the works of Sayyid Abu La'la Maududi, what he says. Inshallah, we shall be back after 2 minutes, after taking a short break. Stay with us, please. Alhamdulillah, welcome back. So I have here a book At-Tawheed. It's a Shiite publication, but as I was going through it, I found very good words about Sayyid Abu La'la al-Maududi, who is a Sunni, leading scholars of Islam. So let's see what he says in this book about the position of slavery in Islam. So he says, briefly, I would like to tell you about the position and nature of slavery in Islam. Islam tried to solve the problem of the slaves that were in Arabia by encouraging the people in different ways to set their slaves free. What I've just told you. The Muslims were ordered that in expiation of some of their sins, they would set the slaves free. Freeing a slave by one's own free will was declared to be an act of great merit, so much so that it was said that every limb of the man who manumits a slave will be protected from the hellfire in lieu of the limb of the slave freed by him. The result of this policy was that by the time the period of the rightly guided caliphs was reached, all the old slaves of Arabia were liberated. The Prophet alone liberated as many as 63 slaves. The number of slaves freed by Aisha was 67, Abbas liberated 70, Abdullah bin Umar liberated 1,000, and Abdul Rahman purchased 30,000 and set them free. Similarly, other companions of the Prophet liberated a large number of slaves, the details of which are given in the traditions and books of history of that period. Okay? Like Bilal radiallahu anhu was bought by Abu Bakr and manumitted by him. أول مؤذن في Islam. To know more about Bilal, that is a different topic. Inshallah, after finishing with all the misconceptions of Islam, I shall try now to go to topics like men around the messenger, women around the messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and many more. But first, let me clear the misconceptions about Islam, of which it's a very big task. I can't go and talk of other topics without speaking about this. This is the most important one. So that when you see my videos, you know what Islam is, especially those who are non-Muslims. Okay? Thus, the problem of the slaves of Arabia was solved in a short period of 30 or 40 years. After this, the only form of slavery which was left in Islamic society was the prisoners of war, who were captured on the battlefield. These prisoners of war were retained by the Muslim government until their government agreed to receive them back in exchange for Muslim soldiers captured by them, or arranged the payment of ransom on their behalf. If the soldiers they captured were not exchanged with Muslim prisoners of war, or their people did not pay their ransom money to purchase their liberty, then the Muslim government used to distribute them among the soldiers of the army which had captured them. This was a more humane and proper way of disposing of them than retaining them like cattle in concentration camps and taking forced labor from them, and if their women folk were also captured, setting them aside for prostitution. if the soldiers they captured were not exchanged with Muslim prisoners of war, or their people did not pay their ransom money to purchase their liberty, then the Muslim government used to distribute them among the soldiers of the army which had captured them. This was a more humane and proper way of disposing of them than retaining them like cattle in concentration camps. Proper way of disposing them than retaining them like cattle in concentration camps and taking forced labor from them if the women folk were also captured, setting them aside for prostitution. So they were distributed, as Sayyid Abu La'ala says, the Muslim government used to distribute them in case those enemies didn't bring the soldiers back. So this now Muslim who had the enemy's soldiers now, what would they do? They would distribute them among the soldiers of the army which had captured them. This was a more humane and proper way of disposing of them than retaining them like cattle in concentration camps and taking forced labor from them, and if their women folk were also captured, setting them aside for prostitution. It was a way to, to take away prostitution, keeping them like cattle, so they were distributed among the soldiers. It was a way, you see, this thing was just like khamr, as I explained it in my previous video, which came slowly to be prohibited in Islam. Don't go near it while you're drunk. In it there's a lot of evil and a bit of benefit, until now when Allah says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, the first chapters, haram, gambling and all. You can read it in the translations if you don't know Arabic. All these are haram. That is now another topic I'm getting into, but I've just shown you how some things like this and what I've just mentioned, it took steps. That is the way a wise person does, and Allah is the most wise. You can just tell somebody this thing, I don't want it once and for all, slowly by slowly, just like Allah does. The Quran itself, of which I will explain the major themes of the Holy Quran. The Quran came by side of wisdom. Even I will encourage you to go to the book Usul al-Tafsir by Bilal Phillips. In one of the pages he says, if the Quran was only revealed at once, what could it have served? People were asking the Prophet questions, so if the Quran came all at once, then people could not understand it well. Yeah. So in order to make somebody understand his act that he's doing is not good, you have to tell him slowly by slowly until later he will understand, just like the way Allah did to his laws. Slowly by slowly, how he abrogated some laws in the Holy Quran. Read the Quran. Read books of Ulum al-Quran. We have a lot even on the net, some by Ibn al-Qayyim, even Bilal Phillips' book Usul al-Tafsir. I encourage you to read. Watch videos about how ulamas interpret abrogated verses, and you'll come to know the wisdom behind prohibiting things slowly by slowly. Just like the way slavery was prohibited, it was a slowly by slowly process. Yeah, wisdom is something to be taken in slow terms. So let us continue. I hope you have understood me. So we have already seen the Muslim government used to distribute among the soldiers of the army which had captured them. This was a more humane and proper way of disposing of them than retaining them, retaining them like cattle in concentration camps and taking forced labor from them, and if the women folk were also captured, setting them aside, and then the women folk being captured, so that distribution among the Muslim army was to avoid prostitution or keeping them like cattle and dogs. In place of such a cruel and outrageous way of disposing of the prisoners of war, Islam preferred to spread them in the population, and thus brought them in contact with individual human beings. Over and above, their guardians were ordered to treat them well. The result of this humane policy was that most of the men who were captured on foreign battlefields and brought to the Muslim countries as slaves embraced Islam, and their descendants produced great scholars, imams, jurists, commentators, statesmen, and generals of the army. If Islam mistreated them, could we have all these fruits? The Bible teaches us Joseph Maina, Bernard Baraka, by their fruits you shall know them. All this, by being distributed, they would be taken so that they could get absorbed with the people. They became Muslims. Their descendants became great imams. Joseph Maina, Bernard Baraka, stop spreading false information on Facebook. And I call you again. And I would like to put this video on Facebook. And you will also find it in my YouTube channel. If you truly think Christianity is right, provide a refuting video to what I am saying. Don't just take the Islamic books and blah blah blah. Try to see what ulamas have explained about it. Try to find Sahih al-Bukhari, what Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, a later period scholar, the way he translated Sahih al-Bukhari. Don't read translations only. I've also have a translation of Bukhari here. You also have, but I know you don't understand it. Read it with an open mind. Try to find what ulamas have said about such a hadith. Ulamas have written books about abrogated hadith. Also this hadith, there are some which are abrogated. For example, the Prophet said, كنت نهيتكم عن زيارة القبور فزوروها تذكركم الآخرة. I had prohibited you from visiting graveyards, but visit them, they shall remind you the day of judgment. So this hadith, this command of the Prophet has abrogated his previous command. Yeah. And the Prophet, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَى. If you have ears, you will hear. If you have eyes, you will see. Don't just take a hadith and think you have. Hadith has also its principles. People take years to understand the hadith. For example, read the history of Imam al-Bukhari. There he traveled to collect a hadith. More than 300,000 hadith he collected, of which I shall try in my next topic to give a summary of the life of Imam al-Bukhari. People spend years in learning a hadith. Okay, they read a hadith, but a serious scholar, an open-minded, would like to know the matn, the actual text, the ones who transmitted their hadith. Yeah. So, watch out. People take years in studying a hadith, not just reading translations. And I'm sure you don't even know even Arabic. You don't even know even to the rules pertaining to a hadith. Yeah, I accept Bukhari is the most excellent book. Yeah, But also in it there hadith, not weak hadith. I'm not saying they're weak, but you'll find this hadith is more strong, is more preferred than another hadith. Check the book of medicine. Check the translation of Muhsin Khan, and you will find that a hadith, even if it is not in the book of Muhsin Khan, the one which you have, it is in other books printed by Muhsin Khan. There is the commentary there about the hadith. You call it castration, the form of medicine where somebody uses fire to cure. It's called castration. In one hadith, it says that the Prophet did it. In another one, it shows that the Prophet prohibited it. But the commentary there shows that the Prophet accepted it. Yeah. So we have this hadith which is stronger than the other hadith. Bukhari was also a Muslim. He could err, but not like the others, which have da'if, weak, fabricated narrations. I think you have understood me. And some ulamas have told us that Bukhari narrated a hadith of which it is not in this collection of his. Maybe it is of those 200,000 of which he memorized, of which ulamas both present and past prohibited went against him, that the Prophet was bewitched, and then came witch doctor to cure him through castration. It's a weak narration. It is not found in this hadith of Bukhari, but it is in the ones which Bukhari memorized. You know, they are different. There are those which he memorized, and there are those which he wrote. What he wrote are the most authentic, even than Muslim. Unanimous decision. That is the way somebody is supposed to know about a person narrating of hadith. Yeah, we have subjects like Ajarh wa Ta'adil, of knowing those narrators, whether they are authentic or not authentic. See the books of Siyar A'lam al-Nubala to know about those people who are narrating a hadith. Yeah, my friend, a lot concerns this hadith. And this message goes to also Mr. Chaka. But why just posting the information on Facebook? Why don't you come to us Muslims and discuss such issues? And we are there to help you. We don't have time to hate people. See, you Christians, your book is corrupted. Although there are many corruptions, there are many contradictions in your book, but we'll argue in a very respectful manner, in a very courteous manner. We cannot bring things on Facebook. In fact, Joseph Mamaina has gone to the extreme, bringing the people of throwing stones at Jamarat, and shows how wamechanganyikiwa. You call people to your religion that way? As I already explained, no book about Hajj on earth, no scholar will tell you that there, is the devil. That is the remembrance of our mother Hajar, when she was stoning the devil when he was trying to play tricks on her. The story will be told to you later. Today is not the place. So we do that in remembrance. The whole Hajj thing is the remembrance. Is the doing of our father Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. We find it in your books, Pilgrimage in the Valley of Bakkah, in the book of Psalms. Yeah, the blessed Valley of Bakkah. Come and bring your own interpretations. Bakkah is another name for Makkah. and pilgrimage is done there, which shows that also previous prophets did pilgrimage in Mecca. We don't believe that the devil is actually there. Is just a remembrance. The slaughtering of an animal. We remember when Ibrahim was tested by Allah to slaughter his son Ismail, and Allah gave him a sheep. Yeah, that is the way it is. Saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, pronouncing glorification of Allah. It's a remembrance of Nabi Allah Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. When he stood on the mountains of Makkah and started saying that. Read of the history of Makkah by Sheikh Ilyasi to know who built the Kaaba. Oh, the Pagans built it. There's also a narration which say also angels built it, but the preferred opinion is that Ibrahim built it. Reference the Khutbatul Jum'ah, a book which talks about Friday sermons. Come, I will give you the references. Even the book of Farsi, which you use, Maisha Mtume Muhammad, the life of the Prophet Muhammad, when I translate it, will show you that that the Quraysh never built the Kaaba. What the Quraysh did, it is also present in Sahih al-Bukhari, on the book of Hajj, is that they built on that foundation which Nabi Allah Ibrahim had already built. Yeah. It's a long story. The Kaaba was broken, but that area, that foundation, Nabi Allah Ibrahim is the one who built it. Up to now in Makkah, we have the signs of his steps. Why don't you want to mention Nabi Allah Ibrahim in the story? You only see the part. They didn't build it. You know, it's a long story. They broke it, the pagans, and they're rebuilding it. Inshallah, I shall try to explain it in my later topics. So Joseph Maina, Bernard Baraka, Chaka, Kasina, Kashmir. If you want to really know about Islam, we are free to discuss with you. Don't just go into Facebook and just show. What are you showing off? This is a religion. This is not a work of play. I've tried a lot to bear with you, but no. Since you spread the false news about Islam, now I will start mentioning your names now. And produce videos to refute me. Yeah, and I'll also produce, let's give each other one shot and see who at the end will get stuck inside the hole. Yeah. Study Islam with an open mind. Or maybe you know the truth, but you are just ignorant because of money. That doesn't work. Seek the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Okay? If you think we don't know about Jesus in the Gospel of Luke, which shows you how to knock your slave, all those which are happening in Saudi Arabia, I think they've gotten their teachings from the Bible to hit the slave. Islam didn't teach that. Islam taught what I am reading to you from this book, how to treat your slaves, and encouraged manumitting of slaves. Do we have such a teaching in the Bible? Of course, I don't believe Jesus did that. To me, Jesus was the best man after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you've put words about him which are not true. Of course, I believe he didn't do that. But I'm quoting what is in your books. You have the sin on your side, but you try to paint it on others. That is not fair. Let us continue. But now I am on your neck now. All of you Kenyan apologists, after seeing my video, arrange a discussion. And I'm ready to discuss with you in a friendly, courteous, respectful manner. And don't come there and waste my time. Because also you'll come there and teach me about Christianity, which I will accept. Even if I don't accept, I will reply in a very good manner and a respectful manner. and let it be. Whoever wants to believe, let him believe. Whoever wants to disbelieve, let him disbelieve. Let us continue. So as I had already said, the soldiers were distributed so as to get absorbed in the population. It was to avoid like doing things like prostitution or keeping them like cattle. So they were distributed among the armies, they got absorbed in the population, and they became Muslims, and some of their descendants also became Muslims and great figures of Islam. If Islam treated them bad, could they have really reached such a superior position, becoming Muslims, descendants becoming great figures of Islamic history? Think for yourselves. Whoever wants, follow me. I shall give you a photocopy of this page. Let wants to believe, let him believe. By the fruits you shall know them, as your Bible teaches you. Kenyan apologists. And these are the fruits of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And still more are there to come. In place of such a cruel and outrageous way in place of such a cruel and outrageous way of disposing of the prisoners of war, Islam preferred to spread them in the population, and thus brought them in contact with individual human beings over and above. Their guardians were ordered to treat them well. The result of this humane policy was that most of the men who were captured on foreign battlefields and brought to the Muslim countries as slaves embraced Islam, and their descendants produced great scholars, imams, jurists, commentators, statesmen, and generals of the army. So much so that later on they became rulers of the Muslim world. The solution of this problem, which has been proposed in the present age, is that after the cessation of hostilities, the prisoners of war of the combatant countries should be exchanged, whereas Muslims have been practicing it from the very beginning, and whenever the adversary accepted the exchange of prisoners of war from both sides, it was implemented without the least hesitation or delay. In modern warfare, we also find that if one government is completely rooted, leaving her in no position of bargaining for the prisoners of war, and the winning party gets its prisoners easily, then experience has shown that the prisoners of war of the vanquished army are kept in conditions which are much worse than the conditions of slaves. Can anyone tell us what has been the fate of the thousands of prisoners of war captured by Russia from the defeated armies of Germany and Japan in the Second World War? No one has given their account so far. No one knows how many thousands of them are still alive and how many thousands of them have perished due to the hardship of the Russian concentration and labor camps. The forced labor which has been taken from them is much worse than the service one can exact from slaves. Even perhaps in the times of ancient pharaohs of Egypt, such harsh labor might not have been exacted from the slaves in buildings the pyramids of Egypt, as has been exacted from the prisoners of war in Russia, in developing Siberia and other backward areas of Russia, or working in coal and other mines in below zero temperatures, ill-clad, ill-fed, and brutally treated by their supervisors. I hope you have understood. And inshallah, tomorrow or any other day, I shall try to complete this video of mine. Read the story of escape of Sobibor. The German soldiers who were there, were they mistreating their fellow Muslims or their fellow Christians? See how they did to the Jews. And now Joseph Maimena comes, see what is happening during Saudi Arabia. It's an inspiration about Muhammad. So, if a Christian steals, I blame Christianity has taught him. I think all the laws you have it in the Old Testament, of which Jesus told you to practice. Matthew 5:17. But Paul, on the other hand, came and contradicted himself, and also contradicted you people with the reasons which this is not the place to discuss them. So today, Uhuru Kenyatta, as an example, please understand me, as an example, our good president, I love him, I revere him, but take it for example, all of a sudden he starts now mistreating us Muslims. Will we take that action to the Bible, to what Jesus have taught, alayhi salam, to what Moses have taught? No, your sin is your sin yourself. It is not on your religion. My God, Joseph Maina, I am sorry, but that is an immature thing to say about it. You know, Joseph Maina, I admired you in the last the discussion which we had. You agreed, you are somebody to learn. You told me that somebody needs to learn with an open mind. It's good you have books, of which I've not seen any Christian apologists carrying Sahih al-Bukhari. They only take Farsi and start mocking it. You work with Muslim books. So, somebody like you, if I hadn't read your post on Facebook, I could have taken you as, you know, a brother. This person wants to learn about Islam. This person is open-minded. But the way you argue on Facebook, you abuse. Like in one of the posts, you are using the book of Revelation to abuse the Kaaba, of which it is not wise. Where is the Kaaba in the book of Revelation? How does it relate? How does the Kaaba relate to the book of Revelation? Joseph Maina, are you serious? Even if it is making money of what you do, but make money like a wise person, not like a criminal. Yeah, because what you're doing now, it is a criminal activity, and I think it's an offense. But if we want us Muslims, you could have complained to the government the way you're mocking. I'm telling you, provide intellectual arguments, like some of the brothers who are doing in America, like James White, who intellectual arguments. Don't just, or you've run out of words. In Kiswahili they say umekosa kazi. Okay. So I shall respond to every allegation you make against Islam. I have it on my email. I've saved that post which you made, and I shall reply to you everything. But I thought the Bible teaches us to love, give one cheek if the other one is slapped. Is that what you are doing? Of course I believe those words don't have a chain of transmission to Jesus' mouth. But is that what should be done? You're abusing. There's no difference between David Wood and you and Sam Shamoun, full-mouthed, not knowing about Islam. Because even Arabic you don't know. Also, even me when I criticize the Christian religion, I do it in a respectful matters. Okay, I don't know all the Greek languages. At least I try to read Greek. Like the word procrastinai. Procrastinai means to worship, to adore, not worshipping like worshipping a god. And it's not the only one who has a problem. Also, the Christian scholars, not everyone can read all the Greek. Yeah. And in fact, why should I know Greek, since it was not even the religion of Jesus anyway? And Amharic, the religion of Jesus, is a dead language. Yeah. You don't even have the original language of Jesus. or none of your scholars can read the whole Greek thing. They are just like me, reading only bits of Greek. You don't even know even Greek even. And yet stand in defense of the Bible. Just criticize Islam. Yeah, bring a chapter like the Holy Quran. Only one chapter of the Holy Quran, I swear, you won't be able to bring. To add fuel to criticisms about Islam. The earliest manuscript of the Holy Book is found in the John Reynolds Museum in England. Maybe there are others manuscripts which are to be gotten. In fact, the one for John, sorry, it's not a manuscript. Yeah, it's a manuscript fragment. Yeah, maybe still you will bring manuscripts, and inshallah you bring, as people say, the one which is original, the original Injil, the one we believe, of which will verify it with the Quran. Will be very happy Muslims. Yeah. Discover Amharic manuscripts, Aramaic, sorry, manuscripts in Jesus' language, not only Greek. Okay, for the sake of argument, produce a Greek manuscript, which dates even to the 1st century, within Jesus' years. Most of your manuscripts from the 2nd century and going back. Yeah, we can also discuss about the manuscripts of the Bible. Set a topic aside. Alhamdulillah, as Muslims, our Holy Quran, we have manuscripts dating to the 1st centuries. We have the Uthmanic manuscripts dating to the 1st centuries. All the disciples of Zayd bin Harith is a handwriting, who used to be with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Come on, produce manuscripts written by the disciples of Jesus by their own hands, or even by Jesus himself. The ball is on your sides.